we get great responses that, you know, their eyes have been opened to.
We're all special and individuals.
We don't wear brand labels. You seem different.
In the Bible, it says in Matthew 5:23-24, it says,
This group has been around via Facebook. One of my friends
Cool thing to do at the moment, and like until you're married.
welcome to Saym TV. My name is Jake. I'll be your host for tonight. And on our panel, we have Sandra, we have Joyce, and we have Shaul. So welcome to them, and welcome to our beautiful audience that can make it out here tonight. Also, welcome to you who have tuned in from your various homes, work, or wherever you may be with a TV or set-top box or whatever you call it. Today we'll be talking about relationships. One way or another, every single one of us are involved in a relationship, whether it be girlfriend, boyfriend, friendships, family relationships. So it's something, it's part of the circle of life, if I can put it that way. So yeah, so relationships, guys. First thoughts, opening up.
Yeah, we can't really live without them, can we? There's just so many of them, yeah. I think it's quite important. It shapes who we are, they influence us, we influence them, yeah. No, for sure.
And they pretty much just make up your life as well. I mean, just imagine someone, well, it's hard to avoid having a family, but like family itself is a relationship, just friends around you, everyone around you, pretty much how you communicate with everyone is just the beginning of a relationship, so.
Well, they say you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. So in that process, saying that, how do you guys pick out your friends?
So
what do you look for?
Common interests, really. I mean, if you're into the same kind of sports, if you're into the same kind of religion or something like that, same work, I don't know, usually work you can't really choose too much, but yeah, it's a common interests, I think, common interests.
Yeah, and also just like someone you can talk to and relate well, because you don't want a friend who's going to be awkward around you all the time, so it's always nice to have someone you can talk to and rely on as well.
I don't know, I like being friends with everyone.
Yeah.
Anyone, really.
Social butterfly.
Yep.
So you've got loyalty and friends that you can rely on. Now, in terms of dating and that sort of relationships, dating nowadays in today's society, how do you view that?
How I view it? Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite good, you know, you get to know someone over a period of time, and I don't know, it's a bit of a no-no these days to mention, but usually, you know, I personally view dating as, you know, you check them out basically to see if they're marriage material, you know. I don't know. Marriage material.
That man.
I really don't mind. Obviously, like, where I come from, it's definitely a no-no. Where if pretty much someone my age dated, you're going to get married. That's how it works.
Oh, wow.
So imagine, imagine living in a place like that. So, well, coming into a different country, I guess you just learn something new about it. Yeah, but I don't see it as a bad thing, because you always have to build relationship with people. You can't avoid it.
For me, I think the most important thing is values, that you share common values and common beliefs and, you know, yeah, like common interests, but I think it's also good to have your differences as well. But basically, to set the foundation to have, you know, same beliefs and same values.
You know, when people are looking for relationships, I've met a lot of friends of mine that I know friends that literally write lists, you know, of what they want in a guy or what they want in a girl, and it comes down to even physical, you know, attributes. He has to have blue eyes, you know, he has to have brown skin like mine, you know, like, you know, yeah, I know, don't mention that one. But, you know, they come down to that. It's like all about what I'm looking for in a person.
Yeah.
And sometimes it comes down to, oh, nah, they don't have the blue eyes.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they don't have the blue eyes, they don't get the time of day.
Very
they
shallow.
They could be a, you know, really cool person, a cool guy or a girl, but, you know, they just don't pass the test because they don't have blue eyes. So, you know, it's all become about, okay, what do I want in a person and things like that.
But just think about how much stress it puts on people. I mean, I know some friends who will literally write down a pros and cons list if they can't choose between two guys.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. And it happens, like, it just happens all the time now. Like, I don't know.
Multiple choice, eh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, we'll switch over to our music segment now. We have Nathaniel and Rachel again this week, and we'll see what album or song they have for us this week. Guys, over to you.
Thanks, guys. My name's Rachel,
And I'm Nathaniel.
and today we'll be reviewing an album by Naturally 7 called Vocal Play. Naturally 7 is a group of 7 guys who pretty much write their own songs, and they don't use instrumental backing.
Yes, every single thing that they do, every single piece of music they do is done completely by the voice. So in the clip that we're about to play you, any drums, any guitar, violin,
anything.
harp, trumpets, anything you hear, they do it, replicate it all with their voices. Let's give a listen to something that they do. So yeah, it's pretty impressive, isn't it? These guys are actually one of my favourite
Mine too.
favourite artists, Christian artists, just because the amazing variation of things they do too. They do some like pop rocky stuff, and to complete old school a cappella hymn type things as well. So yeah.
They do really well, and all the stuff you just heard there, all their voices, nothing else.
Yeah. Naturally 7, definitely check these guys out. Back to you guys.
Thanks, guys. Casting Crowns is probably one of my favourite groups. At His Feet, it's a good song as well, and it's good for the topic that we're talking about, where you just lay, relationship problems at Jesus' feet. But we'll get to that. I was listening to the radio a few weeks ago, and they were talking about when partners change during a relationship. So you find the person that you've been looking for, and they meet your standards, but then somewhere along the line in your relationship, they either gain weight or they change in personality or something, and then you ditch them. What do you think about that?
That's horrible. That's horrible.
I think it depends though. It depends. I mean, it depends if it's just a physical change or whether it's sort of a. Because I mean,
Personality.
Yeah, well, personality. I mean, Lee Strobel's wife, for example, is probably the most high profile case of she changed completely, converted to a Christian, and that led him ultimately to becoming a Christian. But yeah, in the case of sort of
the shallowness of, oh yeah, you've put on weight, I don't want you anymore. That's horrible. That is such a shallow way to view relationships.
I suppose you fell in love with him as a heavy person, so.
Oh yeah, but it could be the other way around. Oh, now you're too skinny, I don't want you anymore. Like, that's just such a shallow...
The other thing is your body changes anyway.
True.
As you get older or mature or whatever, your body changes, so you can't base your relationship on the way someone looks.
And it's funny because they opened it up to the listeners to call in, and if they've had a similar experience. And a lot of the callers that called in, they said that they ditched or they will ditch their partner if they changed in the relationship. So the problem with having this set list of, it's got to have this, got to be muscly, athletic, is that when they change, you look back at your list and be like, it's not what I ordered in the mail. So, you know what I mean? So I think that's the danger of focusing on yourself and thinking, okay, this is what I want. Because you're right, Joyce, people do change and your body does change. We do get old. Our muscles turn into flab. Exactly. So that girl looking for the dream guy that will have muscles till the day he dies or goes to rest.
It's all going to sag when it's old.
Is only found when you go to sleep at night, unfortunately.
But what is also sad is that because it's such a vain way to look at relationships, ultimately no one's going to win. Because it's the people who look at personality and who really fall in love with a person just the way they are, that really, that really gain something, gain that special thing.
I mean, that's when you're dating the person, opposed to otherwise you're just dating the muscles, or you're dating the luscious brown hair or whatever. So. Exactly.
Well, get this, a lot of Australians apparently have the mindset of you test before you buy. And statistics show that today, more than 76% of Aussie couples live together before marriage, compared back to 1981, where there was 31%, in 1975 where there was 16%. So you got to look at the stats there. Like, people are thinking, okay, I'll live with her, because if you marry them, that's when you realize, you know, who they really are. So 76% of Australian couples are doing this. You know, they're testing it out, and it's because of that. The age in marriage has become higher. Like, people are getting married at 28, 29, as back in our parents' day. I'm not sure. I don't know how old my parents were when they got married, but.
Mine were young.
Yeah, how old were yours?
My mother was 17 and my dad was 21.
And they're still together?
Yep, 27 years later.
And yourselves, do you know when your parents?
Yeah, mine, I think about mid-20s, late 20s, that kind of age bracket.
So you see that, you know, they've back in the day, our parents, you know, they've gotten married at a young age, but they've stuck together.
Yeah.
People nowadays, you know, they test, you know, they live together and they get married at 28, 29, and even then, it breaks up. You know.
Yeah.
I must admit, that try before you buy a thing only works in a lolly shop. Only works in a lolly shop, but the rest of life, no.
Unfortunately, not even then.
No worries. Well, we'll go over to our science segment now. We have Artie and Ebony. Yeah, guys, what have you got for us today?
Hi guys, and welcome to the lab. Today we've been talking about relationships.
And when people hear the word relationship, they tend to think boyfriend, girlfriend, but it's totally something more than that.
Well, let me just show you what I think.
Okay, that was interesting.
I think relationships are like this domino.
Yeah.
It's like the relationship starts off with one person, and each person is affected by that one domino, just like a person.
Yeah, sure.
Have you ever heard of the play it forward effect?
No. Tell me.
The play it forward effect, it was actually a movie in 2000, actually just the year 2000. And it was a movie about this boy who did something. He was doing a school assignment, and he did something, and then he wanted to make the world a better place. So he did something, and then instead of them paying him, that person paying him back, he said, play it on. So do something good for someone else, and so on and so forth. And that's how I'm relating it to the dominoes.
Yeah, sure.
And so it just keeps going.
Yeah, I understand. I guess it kind of relates to a slinky too. If you hold that side, maybe we can show you a bit of a diagram here, where if I push on this slinky on this side, it's eventually, this loop is eventually going to have effect on this loop, and then on this loop, and then eventually it's going to go all the way. And so let's just see what it does. And as you can see, yeah, it's hilarious. And as you can see, it also, when it gets to the end, it actually ends up coming all the way back. And I guess that kind of relates to what you're saying, that if you make an effect, if you make this effect to someone else, then hopefully you'll get it back in return.
Yeah. Do you know that this is also the same diagram that you can use when you're trying to explain an echo? Because the echo, the sound comes through and then it rebounds back.
Okay, and then when it rebounds back, that's what you hear.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. We've also got here some magnets, and as we all know, magnets, they just love to come together. You put them close, and all they do is they just jump to.
I guess they feel that this is how they're meant to be. They're meant to be connected.
Yeah, that's right.
Like humans, I guess.
Yeah, but then it's really easy. All you have to do is just turn it around, and these magnets will want. No, I've done that wrong. Nothing to do with each other. They just repel. And so I guess it's important that in relationships you need to try and patch up any problems that you may have, issues, that you may have with someone, so that way you can still connect again.
So I guess that's all we have time for today, but to leave you with a quote again, our quote for today comes from an anonymous source, and it says, relationships are the most important ingredient to life. Back to you in the studio.
Yeah, I think I've seen some of those magnets out in the city. School kids can't get rid of each other. But guys, growing up, you know, say you know that someone likes you, and then when they find out that you don't like them, they change, you know, their actions and things like that. Have you ever had that experience growing up?
Yes.
Yeah, I get that all the time. No, not quite. Not as much as I'd like to. No, definitely. I mean, suddenly, you know, there's not as many things happen for you. Your homework doesn't get done for you. You know, it's suddenly it's that, you know, that glossy outside that, you know, they might have treated you with, you know, is not quite there.
What's worse is when it destroys a friendship altogether.
Yeah.
And that's really sad because, I mean, even if you were nice about it, the fact that that other person can't, you know, they wanted nothing else besides that relationship. They didn't want friendship, they just wanted the relationship. And yet they're quite happy to just can the whole thing just because you said no. And, you know, then you think, why was I friends with them in the first place? Did you really want to be my friend if that's the way that things have turned out? And I think that's one of the saddest situations you can get.
I had that once, to be honest, but I mean, I sort of, looking back at it as being more mature, I can understand where they come from because I was a bit of a jerk about it, being sort of immature. I mean, in that instance, I don't blame them.
But do you think that don't you think that they come from people just rushing too quickly before they know someone? As in, like, you can't really just love someone from what you see. You kind of have to, well, I definitely don't love people from what I see. Because if that was the case, then I wouldn't love many people. But, like, just getting to know someone for who they are and not because of what they have or,
I mean, ultimately, it's what's on the inside that counts.
Yeah. So you're saying, you know, these friends, do you think they're just too embarrassed to be friends with them again? Because this has come out instead of, you know...
I reckon so. A bit of pain to rejection,
A bit
I
of
suppose.
spite, as well.
ashamed,
Because I'm sure they had good intentions at the start, you know, they really wanted to become friends, and then these feelings developed, but sadly the other person didn't feel the same way. But maybe they were just too embarrassed to be friends with them again, or...
Yeah. I'd vote with that, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's a bit of a shame of rejection, you know, it's not something you want to have to relive every time you see them. It sort of sits in the back of your head.
But some people also really need to learn how to draw the line. Because, like, you don't have to tell someone directly, I can't be in a relationship with you, but you can always hint it as well.
Yeah.
So, like, especially harder for the ladies, like, because we tend to be a lot softer to these rejections. We can't just say, oh my goodness, you're disgusting, I don't want to have anything to do with you.
It hurts too much.
You can't do that. So, yeah, it's very hard, but
still, you've also got to take into consideration maturity as well. I mean, even if you are nice about the situation and stuff, if that person still wants nothing to do with you, that's their problem as well. Like, if you've done everything you possibly can do to try and be gentle about it and they still want nothing to do with you, it's hard because you can't take that on yourself because it just eats away at you.
Shah, is there a dream couple that you look up to that you think, man, I want a relationship like this?
A dream couple.
Maybe friends or even celebrities that you just look at and you think, man, you know, I want to be a husband like him, or I want to be a father like him, or...
I'm going to be a bit of a suck-up, but I take a lot from my parents. I mean, both good things and bad things. You know, I see how they do things, how they treat each other. I go, oh yeah, you know, that'd be cool if I did that one day. You know, also, you know, coming from a third person view, you look at that and say, oh, you know, that's definitely something I'm going to fix, you know, if I have that one relationship. I'm not so much a dream couple, you know, but definitely someone I evaluate against, very much my parents.
Yeah. So what's one of the good things you take from their relationship?
They've got a very open line of communication. You know, sorry, Mum, but, you know, when something's wrong, you know, she tells you, you know, and, you know, it might be a little confronting, but, you know, it's good to get out in the open. You know, I think that's definitely a good thing, you know, that open lines of communication.
One thing I like about my parents is, I mean, as a kid, I hated it because we couldn't get away with talking to one parent and, you know, saying, oh, can we do this? And going, yeah, sure. But then the other parent said no. There was never any of that. It was always ask your mother or ask your father. And as much as, you know, as being a kid, I hated that because we could never do what we wanted, in a sense, or what we wanted to do at that moment in time. But looking at it now and from a bigger picture, that was such a good thing to do, because it kept their relationship, you know, from being manipulated by kids, because kids tend to do that when they're little.
No.
Well, I never did.
Thanks for your input, guys. We'll go over to our health segment. Shani, give me some health tips.
Thanks, Jake. So relationships have the ability to turn our lives upside down, make us feel like we're flying through the sky, or make us see the world through rose-coloured glasses, possibly all at the same time. But what is it that makes this person so spectacular? The role of pheromones has been a hotly debated topic throughout the years. The role of pheromones in affecting the mating of various animal species has been determined. However, their role in humans is not as established. Pheromones are chemicals released from one mammal that evoke a change in the behaviour or hormone system of another animal. Most mammals have a structure in the nose called the vomeronasal organ, or the VNO. This organ has receptors for pheromones that trigger hormonal changes in the animal. Humans lack a VNO. However, scientists have recently discovered cells in the lining of the human nose that are wired to brain circuits involved in reproduction rather than smell. So while we wait for scientists to develop a range of pheromone perfumes to attract your ultimate mate, why don't we briefly look at what makes us truly happy in relationships and how? Current studies suggest that if you're not happy being yourself and have not found your identity, you'll probably not be happy in a relationship with someone else either. These studies have shown that self-esteem is an important predictor of health and well-being within relationships. The Hypothalamic-Pituitary-Adrenal Axis, or Hpa Axis, is a neuroendocrine system involved in the human physiological stress response. A stressor typically triggers a cascade of hormones resulting in the release of glucocorticoids, such as cortisol, from the adrenal cortex. Cortisol travels through the body and prepares it to respond to a stressor. Studies have shown that people with low self-esteem have a HPA system that is easily triggered by things such as social threats and even ambiguous rejection cues within relationships. There is substantial evidence that long-term exposure to stress hormones can damage the nervous system, accelerate brain aging, and even be involved in depression, causing poor physical and mental health. Now, while the age-old question of what women really want remains a mystery, what makes us happy is the question that everyone would like the answer to. It has been suggested that one of the biggest predictors of happiness is the extent of our social relationships. So get out there, socialise, and help make the world a better place for those around you, and you'll not only lower your stress levels and improve your health, but may even pick up on one of the pheromones of your dreams.
Awesome stuff, Shani. That was a good tip for our singles out there to take on board. Now, just wrapping up, guys. You know, we've looked at the how society views relationships, and we've even looked at some of the good things that we've gathered from our parents in relationships. But you know, in the Bible, it says in Matthew 5:23-24, it says, "Therefore, if you are offering your gift at the altar, and there you remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First go and be reconciled to that person, then come and offer your gift." So I think why this is written is because, Shao, I loved what you said about your mom there. When things are wrong, she puts it out there, because relationships were never meant to be perfect. You know, there are going to be times where, you know, you will disagree, because the only way to have a perfect relationship is to marry yourself, really. Because, you know, that's the only person that's compatible with you. But in this Bible, like, you know, God says, you know, if there's something wrong in a relationship, bring it to a relationship, level. If there's something wrong in your relationship, go and fix that first. And he also mentions in Matthew 5:43-44, he says, "You have heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." Now, a lot of relationships, when partners become exes, it's funny how, you know, they love each other, and then when they break up, it's like, war is on.
Yeah.
Like, you know, all those photos and stuff are coming out, and, you know, you just want to embarrass each other. But, you know, again, it says here, imagine if the effect was you break up with that person, but you still show love to them. There could be a possibility that it will work out. So, I mean, of course, with God in our relationship, you know, we can get through it. But relationships is about helping us grow. You know, you need someone to keep you accountable. You need someone different, because when you come to those times and to those times where you struggle and, you know, where it tests you, when you overcome that test, it's only going to grow you more. You know, when you overcome it, it's like a step. You know, okay, we've overcome this argument. Next one. So the bigger the things come, you're ready for it, because, you know, you've prepared for it. That's all we have time for today, guys. I'd just like to thank you guys as the panel. Thank you to our beautiful audience. And last but not least, we'd like to thank you for tuning in. We will be here next week, same time, same place. We look forward to seeing you. Peace.